Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
We are in the midst of a sunshine shortage, but the same could be said for snowfall. Waiting to see how long before our next flakes arrive.
All right, Ben, one day away, the first doses of the Pfizer vaccine set to be administered tomorrow in the UK.
It's gone from bad to just plain ugly. State lawmakers say they're facing death threats over the results of the election.
But we'll begin today at 5 with breaking news on a number of fronts in Michigan's fight against the coronavirus. Today, the state recorded its 400,000th case of the virus, with 9,350 new cases over the past 48 hours, averaging out to about 4,600 per day. The state also reporting 93 more deaths over these past 2 days.
And it's that rise in cases that had Governor Whitmer extending COVID restrictions for another 12 days.
So that means they will now perhaps expire on December 20th and keep things like indoor dining at restaurants and other things shut down. We bring in Grant Herms live tonight. Grant, she also hinted that they aren't going to all reopen at once when we get to the 20th either.
Yeah, we'll get to what was said today in just a second, but I do want to remind people of what's closed and what's going to stay closed here. So that is indoor dining. That's organized sports are not allowed to restart. It's also places where there's group entertainment. So think movie theaters, casinos, bowling alleys, and group fitness classes. Now, this extension has been met with a lot of disappointment and real fear about what this could mean for small businesses and hundreds of thousands of working Michiganders.
Here we are a few weeks before Christmas, and we are already, sadly, above that mark. And that means our progress is fragile, and we cannot let up yet.
Today, Governor Gretchen Whitmer extending her so-called 3-week pause COVID restrictions nearly another 2 weeks, moving the new end date to just 6 days before Christmas. The governor and the state's top health officials saying the impact of gatherings and travel over the Thanksgiving holiday still haven't hit, and it's too early to reopen as cases continue to be in the thousands, and Michigan tops 100 deaths a day, 2 weeks before models predicted. But the extension is potentially a lethal blow to hundreds of small businesses and restaurants, which have been begging for a way to either reopen their dining spaces or help employees stay afloat.
It's not anyone's fault. It's not the restaurant's fault. It's not my fault. It's not Dr. J's fault or Director Gordon's fault. This is how COVID-19 spreads. It's just that simple.
In a statement today, the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association saying it's the fault of the governor, saying in part the restaurant industry is comprised of creative and resilient individuals, but for a growing number of them, this latest pause is the cause of their lost livelihood and well-being. We firmly believe there is a better approach, one followed by 45 other states, that doesn't use blunt force closure of a single industry to resolve a shared crisis. The outlook, though, is bleak. The director of the State Department of Health and Human Services saying there needs to be a lot of improvement in the next 2 weeks. Improvement he's not optimistic we'll see.
If progress continues, we will eagerly reopen venues beyond those I've described. We're not ready to do that now, and it's unlikely we'll be ready to do so in 12 days, but we will do so as soon as we can.
Now, the state is really looking at 3 key things in order to lift these restrictions. That is downward trends for both hospitalizations and case numbers. Both of those have been heading in the right direction, but about 1 in 5 hospital beds is being used to treat a COVID patient across the state right now. The other is positivity rates, which they use to track community spread. That has not been heading in the right direction, and that's the thing, Devin, that hospital officials and officials across the state are really worried about, especially as we head into likely more holiday celebrations.
And Grant, she also, though, made this plea really for more relief for small businesses and their workers.
Well, the governor spoke directly to the legislature today, asking them to approve the $400 million in separate packages, but overall it's aid that'll go directly to Michiganders and small businesses. She wants an extension to unemployment benefits and more public health measures, including a codified mask mandate. She said that talks with legislators over the weeks here have been, have left her optimistic, but she didn't give us any specifics on a timeline when we could see any relief.
All right, Grant, so now let's get then to the race for a vaccine. And tonight, the eyes of the world basically are on the UK as people there are set to receive the first doses of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine starting tomorrow.
With our FDA just days away from potentially authorizing the vaccine here, American health officials will be paying close attention to how things go in the UK. Dr. Frank McGeorge is here with a closer look. Hi, Doc.
Hey, Kim and Devin. Yeah, this will be the largest immunization campaign ever launched in the UK, with the added challenge of a vaccine that needs to be stored at negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, there is excitement, anticipation, and the immense pressure of being the first to undertake this massive effort. Carefully carried inside box after box, unsealed and gently placed in freezers, locked for security. Britain's first wave of coronavirus vaccinations is about to begin.
We are amongst the first in the country to actually receive the vaccine, and I'm so proud.
The UK expects to have 4 million doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine available for distribution by the end of December. 50 hospital hubs across the UK have already received their allocation of the vaccine. Those who will give the shots were trained on Friday.
We've obviously delivered the flu vaccine every single year, but we are now having to deliver at a much faster pace. We would usually deliver flu vaccination over a number of months. This is a very quick rollout, so it's about making sure that we can continue to deliver at that pace without dropping off at any point.
COVID-19 vaccinations are set to begin tomorrow in England, Wales, and Scotland. The UK has ordered 40 million doses of the vaccine, enough to vaccinate 20 million people, or 1/3 of the UK population. The very first wave of patients to get the vaccine, those 80 years and above who are able to come to the hospital, followed by those in nursing homes and their staff, and then healthcare workers. Health officials warn it's going to take months before enough people are vaccinated to truly slow the virus, but they hope this week will go down as the turning point in the UK's fight against COVID. Now, already UK health officials are saying it is the last mile of the vaccine rollout that's really the big challenge. Figuring out how to get small numbers of doses to rural, remote areas to make sure those people have the opportunity to be vaccinated as well, which is something the U.S. will certainly face on an even larger scale.
Yeah, we'll be watching it. So, Frank, I'm wondering, several former American presidents have come out and said that they will get the vaccine. Have we heard if Queen Elizabeth plans to set that same example in the UK?
Good point. No official word from Buckingham Palace, but the 94-year-old Queen and 99-year-old Prince Philip would certainly be eligible.
Right.
Royal experts say it's likely they will let it be known if they receive the vaccine, but of course they want to be careful to wait their turn.
Sure. All right, we'll be continue to follow it. Dr. McGeorge, thank you. All right, well, it just never seems normal to see the sun set before 5, but that's what we're going to be seeing this week.
Let's get over to Ben and see what we've got coming later tonight here. Hey, Ben.
Yeah, Kim and Devin, by the way, tomorrow, the earliest sunset that we see all year, and at least in the city of Detroit, that's going to be at 4:59 tomorrow. So beyond that, it's all gravy, right? As we start getting later and later towards summer, but we still got a lot of cold. In fact, we haven't even really started winter yet. 33 is where we sit right now, and we're sitting in that bowl of cold air. You can see that very sharp line where it goes from the 30s to 40s to 50s out there in the Dakotas, and we will be getting that warmth as we get through the rest of this week. But it is going to be pretty quiet. We don't have any big weather makers to look at until the upcoming weekend, and that's when the rain and snow returns. We'll see how close to 50 we're going to get in that 7-day forecast, and of course pinpoint the rain and snow chances in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, Ben. As Michigan's election results sit in the national spotlight, officials on both sides of the aisle say the rhetoric has turned dangerous to the point they're getting death threats.
That included a protest Saturday night at the home of Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. Paula Tutman spoke with Benson today and shows us how law enforcement is handling issues like this.
Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson started Saturday evening watching a holiday movie with her 4-year-old son. The movie being watched tonight, however, is by Detroit police, taking a look at surveillance video to find out whether or not the First Amendment freedom of speech rights of some crossed the line into something else.
Despite mountains of evidence that this was the most secure, accessible election we've had, and 5.5 million voters participated and their voices were heard. And I think as I was going through everything, throughout this whole weekend, but particularly in that moment, you realize that, individuals who are unhappy with or protesting or shouting obscenities outside my home, they're actually not targeting me. They're targeting me as a personification of the voters' will.
Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy is deeply concerned.
The First Amendment does not protect one from criminal activity. So should there ever be information brought to me that could be criminal in nature, this does not protect you. I just personally think that what happened to our Secretary of State was despicable. Screaming and yelling and scaring children.
Also being threatened, State Rep Cynthia Johnson, who says after a Saturday Night Live parody of her participation in the Rudy Giuliani hearing in Lansing, she too was threatened with violence and with threats of death. Professor Peter Trumbore, an expert in political violence at Oakland University, says this is a dangerous turn.
This is typically the kinds of things that the U.S. State Department calls out and points fingers at when it happens in other countries.
Today, Governor Whitmer addressed these threats.
Threats against our elected officials or any office holder, no matter their party, are not acceptable. They are unlawful and they are unacceptable.
And former FBI lawman Andy Arena says this strategy of Trump supporters may be tipping the slender line between First Amendment freedom of speech rights to something that may need to be investigated as criminal.
In American history, if you look to Lexington and Concord, somebody fired a shot at Lexington and started the Revolutionary War. To this day, we don't know who fired that shot. My concern is always people showing up armed. A car backfires, somebody gets excited and squeezes off a round, and then you've got a bloodbath.
When we talk about radicalization, we're used and political violence, we're used to talking about that in a different context. We're not used to talking about that in terms of an American president's supporters, but we're seeing the same processes unfold, the same uses of misinformation and propaganda and conspiracy theories to whip people to a point of frenzy where some of them may be willing to act on those beliefs.
Paula Tutman, Local 4.
A federal judge has rejected a lawsuit that sought to decertify the state's election.
Lawsuit was based on claims of widespread fraud in the distribution, collection, and counting of ballots. There has been no evidence of such fraud in the state, and election results were certified last month. In the judge's opinion, she said the people have spoken and the court will not ignore the will of millions of Michigan voters. We have the full ruling on clickondetroit.com.
Well, we have much more to come here on a Monday. Let's check in with Hank.
Take a look at photos inside this Detroit woman's rental home. It is an obvious danger, and the city took action immediately. So what can you do if you find yourself in a similar battle with your landlord? I'm Hank Winchester. Help me, Hank, tonight.
President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, is in the hospital with COVID-19. I'm Alice Barr in Washington. Coming up, the latest on his condition and the impact on President Trump's challenges to the election results.
What happens when you drop your car off at a shop for repairs and then you find out that it's stolen? That's exactly what a woman on the West Side is going through. That story coming up.